Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream for today, December 16th. We have with us FansUnite returning, FANS, FUNFF over the counter. Scott Burton, CEO. Scott, welcome back. Scott, can you hear me?
Thanks.
We've got a delay.
Jack, to be
Scott? Hang on. Okay, stand by, everybody. We got a slight delay. Scott? Hello, hello. Scott, are you there?
Yeah. Okay,
I'm getting some sort of weird delay here on my end. I think your video is frozen on my end. I don't know what's okay. Hang on, let me let me pop out. Hello, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. Okay, then I think there was some internet thing. Okay, you hear me and see me fine, right?
I do, yes.
Okay, we have a slide. Okay, so let me start again here. Let me make sure we get everything working here. Okay. Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock, a live stream for today, December 16th, 2020. We have with us returning FansUnite, FANS on the CSE, FUNFF over the counter, Scott Burton, the CEO. Scott, welcome back.
Yes, thanks, Jack. Good to be back.
Scott, it's great to have you. I'm glad the internet is working now. Now that we're doing this, so Scott, I want to start off. I know you're short on time right now, so I want to just cover the highlights. Let's start off with the news today, which is the expansion of you're the first. Basically, I think you're the first ones to do esports betting in the U.S. launching right now in Colorado.
Yeah, so it's huge news today for us. I think we kind of tipped it off back in September when we announced that we were partnering with GameCo. So GameCo is the ones in the US with a number of licenses and great casino relationships. So this announcement today with the Southern Ute Indian Tribe, with the SkyUteCasino.com, is really the first dedicated esports sportsbook online in the US. So we'll be launching that. So fully dedicated to esports, runs 24/7, operating with fully sanctioned esports events, and allows the entire state of Colorado to go online and bet on esports. So Colorado recently opened up to online sports betting back in May, I believe it was. So we've been looking at this opportunity with GameCo for a while, and this is really the first of many planned installations in the US with our partnership. This, I think, will be a great showcase of what we can do with the combination of GameCo, working with some data from Grid and some esports betting data from 10star. So it's a great partnership we have to roll these out throughout the entire US is what we're going to try and do. So yeah, very exciting for us and the first of its kind in the US.
Okay, so I think, okay, so the highlight is basically that you're going to be in this casino, but anybody in the state can bet online. The mobile, whatever it is, on esports, on essentially your esports betting.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's a reason why Colorado was a target. So in the U.S., you've got about 26 states now that are going to approve online sports betting, online iGaming in some way, but only about 9 of those, I think, currently have made a determination specifically about esports. So when you look at the states that have done that, Colorado is probably the most open right now to esports betting in terms of the regulation. The other thing they also do is they support mobile funding of sportsbooks, which means that, as you said, this is truly an online product. So it's in partnership with the Sky Ute Casino, but you don't have to be at a Sky Ute Casino to use it. You don't have to be a member of even their rewards club. You can be, but you can be a resident or a visitor in the state. So you can be a visitor to the state. As long as you're within the state borders, you can sign up and bet on esports through the product that we'll be offering. But the mobile funding of sports betting is key as well, because there's some states, and this is the challenge in the US, is at state by state regulatory level, some states are requiring in-person sign up or registration, which means you may physically have to go to a casino to sign up for your online account. It's a bit of a nightmare. So we didn't want to be in a place where they added that hurdle. So Colorado is great for that, because otherwise, I mean, where the Skyu Casino is quite low down in the state. So if we required people to have to go physically sign up, it would kill the online signups, where this way we can access the entire state and give them a 24/7 esports sportsbook, first of its kind.
Yes. Okay. So it's very interesting. Basically, because it's online access. It really levels the playing field. The whole state is open. It's not like somebody has to be. It's not like limited to one physical location. You have complete access. But even I think when you do other states. I think even the ones which have, you have to open the account physically there. People who are, bettors, they will figure out a way to get there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's the true bettors, but truly to get the best access is online registration. So that's why we like. It's one of the reasons why we like Colorado as a launching point.
Okay, so we're going to jump into some audience questions in just a second. So, in terms of, I think we're okay. We're right. This actually leads into my next question, and we have Derek is asking here, what is the plan? What's the timeline for expanding the esports to other states?
Yeah, so obviously this is what we see as our first entry point, and we'll expand. We're actively looking now, and we have been, to go into other states. As I said, not every state would currently make sense. We know they'll get there. Sports betting has taken the key sort of everyone's attention over the last couple of years because of the repeal of PASPA. So we're looking at the next 8 states where esports, there's been some sort of determination that allows it. The nice thing about our platform, though, is we can look at what we've done in Colorado, and Colorado can support a dedicated esports betting site. So this is a standalone site to bet on esports 24/7. In states where they may have more restrictions around which events you can bet on, our platform can plug into an existing sports book. So you can be a sportsbook or casino and still want a good esports offering, but maybe it's not going to be a standalone esports offering. It may be embedded within an existing sportsbook and casino. So we can still integrate there. So there's states that we can help out with any existing casino sportsbook if they want a better esports offering. But then there's going to be certain states where we can take this approach, which is a pure standalone esports betting product.
Okay. In terms of, I guess the main thing that our audience probably wants to know is, what kind of revenues can they expect to see from this? Like, what do you expect this to generate, either in Colorado or the US? Like, can you make some projections, or what's your model? You have any models?
Yeah, I mean, we've looked internally at what we're looking at opportunity wise, and this one, it's not public because it's someone else's sportsbook information. But in terms of where you look at where esports betting is going to be, I think, so once you roll out across the entire US and you look at the billions of dollars you're going to have in sports betting, most estimates are saying, esports betting will hit at least 10% of that in the next 5-7 years is the anticipation. So there's billions of dollars of opportunity in betting volume in the US coming around esports. Like I said, I think it's going to take a bit of time. The nice thing for us is that esports is truly global. So the bulk of our revenue and our platform is done outside of North America right now, but we are ready and poised to jump in state by state as they roll out in the US. So the US, our success isn't contingent on the US. It's just a really nice sort of cherry on top.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the CEOs of like, for example, I think we talked about this before, that a lot of the companies that do have sports betting, like I think it was DraftKings, they were saying that, hey, they expect esports to become a major offering. It's going to become maybe as big as sports betting.
And we see in other regions, especially if there's sportsbooks that are tapping into Asia. We're seeing some sports books where esports is already in their top 5 sports bet on, which is massive, considering that 3 to 5 years ago, people would be saying it's 0. And so when you look at the demographic of this group, so it's really 18 to 30-year-olds right now. They're aging up, but there's tidal wave coming behind them of younger generation that are gamers and are not following traditional sports. And that's really when you look at what the Sky Casino is doing, and people that I think are more forward-looking are seeing that opportunity and understanding that getting a foothold now will set you up very well for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years as you start to see your baseball betting drop off, your basketball betting drop off. Esports is what's going to support that activity, I think.
Yeah. No, this is yeah. Everybody's saying this. Yeah, it's funny. This is basically the millennials. They're doing the esports, not the baseball. Pretty interesting. Okay, so what about? Can you kind of give us? Okay. Oh, I'm going to ask you about the financing announcement, and then I want to kind of maybe give us an update on what's happening with the rest of the operations. You had some huge revenues coming in, with the McBookie and everything else. So what's can you give us the details on today's, last night's, I guess, financing that was announced?
Yeah. We announced financing yesterday of $5 million. So we announced it close of day yesterday. As of this morning, we were oversubscribed to that, so it was very quick, and really, it was it was great, great news for us. We have lots of stuff. So really, what we're doing is we had a strong, I think, balance sheet already. We have no long-term debt. We have money in the bank. Things like this announcement, like this is just, I think this is really just the beginning of our growth. And if you look at what we've done in the last 3 months and the announcements we've had, we've been moving very quickly. We have more opportunities in front of us than we've ever seen before. When we look at news coming out of Canada that's positive around betting, what you mentioned about McBookie and the growth we can see there, U.S. states, we needed to go into 2021 in a strong position to, one, accelerate the speed at which we're doing so. We're ramping up on the team side, so we are ramping up people here quite quickly to take advantage of these, and then also poise ourselves if there's an opportunity around M&A activity. We wanted to be ready to pull a trigger there. So we will be coming into 2021 extremely strong off of the back of some very good news and some very strong sort of tailwinds.
Okay, so it's oversubscribed. Do you have an idea? I mean, how much you think is going to close at? Is it any?
So we're at 5. We're over. We have over 5. So we said we'd take up to 5. So since this call, I haven't had a chance to check in to see where we're at. But right before, I know we had interest for more than 5. So we're done the base deal, and then I'll jump on a call.
Oh, so yeah, whatever, you'll figure it out. But okay, yeah. So you're gonna have the proceeds. You're gonna be funding some the continued internal growth growth initiatives, and the possibility of M&A. I mean, you kind of hinted at M&A. Are you looking at anything right now?
Yeah, I mean, I actually completely said it. It wasn't a hint. I said we've not been quiet about that. I mean, M&A was FansUnite's part of their strategy. That's how we acquired McBookie right before the acquisition or merge with Ascot. So since March, there's been 2. We're looking. We have a very solid pipeline since those of opportunities coming to us. We're being pretty careful on which ones we're looking at, but also. Yeah, we wanted to be ready to move when we see one that we like, and that was part of the thinking of doing the financing now is get it out of the way before the start of the year. We know we want to just focus on execution next year and not be thinking about financing. So that's done, and it's another pretty major milestone, I think, for us to be in this cash position as well. So that's the base. So M&A is part of our approach, but we're happy to wait for the right deals. McBookie's been a great acquisition. The merge between FansUnite and Ascot has been transformational to both businesses. So we're doing well on the ones that we've pulled the trigger on so far.
Okay, so let's get back into just a quick update on what's happening with I guess. Any new aggregator deals? Any new games coming out? What's in pop up?
Yeah, so we will. We're very close to having our next 2 games done. So the games aren't secret because they're up on Ascot.games. So Titan Gems and Team Vortex are the next two. They should be out very soon, possibly. I mean, I would say January. It might be sooner, but January is when the next two are done. And that was really the tipping point for us, was to hit 4 games complete, and then we will push the business development side of Ascot Games. We do have many talks going on in terms of more aggregators. We announced the first one with the ear, so we'll get that completed. And then next year is where we're going to push heavily into business development on rolling those games out. So the growth on those is exponential, because as we said before, the first deal we did opens up 120 sports books and casinos. And I would say that's a smaller aggregator. So, if we can count on that sort of exposure, every one we do, every single signed deal is a massive uptick in terms of potential revenue. So that's the big piece for next year is the growth of Ascot Games. We know there's demand there from the operator side as well. So aggregators is fine. We know we'll get in there. But the operators are going to be pulling us through the aggregators, and that's key. So when you have, I don't want to mention it by name, but a major sports book who sees our games and wants them, they will pull them through their aggregator to their site. So we're getting inbound interest from the aggregators right now because people are seeing our games and wanting them. So we will put a dedicated business development around it, but it's also a strong pull from the market right now on these types of games.
Okay, so just, again, for anybody that might be new here, if you can, Scott, if you can just kind of explain exactly, kind of the revenue potential, sort of the model, how it works, like how much each game can generate per casino and per online casino, and then these casinos have multiple. I mean, these aggregators have hundreds of casinos in their system. It's sort of, and the aggregator is sort of like an Apple iTunes or Google Play, where they have these kind of apps, and if you can explain, give us the big upside potential here.
I'll be a bit conservative, but I think each game in terms of going into a casino is well in the 6 figures. So each game coming to us, one game from us into one operator, not one aggregator, one operator. So each operator, I think, has the potential to bring us 6 figures of revenue on a monthly basis. So when you look at that, an aggregator has 120 partners, so we can plug into as many as possible, bring in 6 figures, well into the 6 figures per game, per online partner. It's massive numbers. So it would, if we start getting any successful games, it will outstrip any other revenue model we have for any other part of the business.
Okay. And again, to summarize, the revenues, in other words, the revenues that you're getting per game, that's kind of your royalty, sort of licensing fee, that the profit participation?
Yeah, so we take basically a revenue share. So what happens is the games will go into the aggregator. The nice thing about casino games is it's a set RTP, return to player. So basically the casino knows the margins. So that happens in every slot, whether it's a physical one or online. We have to disclose the return to player. So players know the payouts. The casino knows how much money they're going to make. And then of the money the casinos make, we take a percentage of that. So every time somebody plays, we'll get a tiny percentage of that. So again, then we just scale up through distribution through aggregators. So we don't have to do 120 integrations to get into 120 casinos. We can do 1.
Okay, it's like Apple iTunes for casinos, basically, right?
Yeah. So anybody can. So the ear, for example, will have our games. They'll have other games. Somebody who's tied into the ear as an online casino would go to their platform and pick of the 6,000 games or whatever. They just pick the ones they want on their site. So there's a lot of promotion we can do to help there, bonusing, and then we can go directly to the operators. So again, we will target larger operators that we want to take our games, go directly to them, and then have them pull the game through their aggregator.
Okay. And okay, so basically, I'm kind of doing some math, and tell me if I'm wrong. But so let's say you said each game can do 6 figures per casino, right? So I'm just going to use a number of, let's say, 200 grand, right, per game. And you said like this. So the one that you have now has a couple hundred. So let's say you get 10. Let's say you get just 10 guys to sign up. So that's $2 million a month in revenues coming in from just that one aggregator at the low end.
Those are possible numbers, yes, for sure.
Okay, so that's not. I mean, that's would that is that conservative? Is that, where am I? How close am I?
Yeah, I'll be much more clear when we get into the first one, and then we'll share some more numbers. But yeah, I think we tend to be conservative ourselves, and I think on a conservative side, if you're a good casino game developer, 2 million, that kind of number on a month is a conservative number.
Okay, so base, and this is more or less high margin, right? This is a very high margin. I mean, this is like essentially licensing.
Yeah, exactly. So we make the game and we're done, and then it's
pure profit. I mean, it's like, you're pumping oil. I mean, it's better than oil, because I think there's a cost of production here, just cash in.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You have some expenses or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive. So in theory, we could be looking at, just from this one deal, 20 million in new revenue with high margins. We'll see. We're going to find out. Now, when are we going to get some visibility to this? I think that's what the market needs to know. When can we start seeing some visibility into this cash flow?
Yep. Yeah. So we're aiming at the beginning of the year. So in January is when we expect to have the integration done, and then we'll start to see the rollout into operators. So Q1 next year, we'll have some visibility.
Okay. So really, let's say by April, May.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So you're getting integration in January. So it might take a little. So by April, you should be able to put out announcements.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I think we'll have. I think we'll have announcements earlier every time somebody signs on. But yeah, I think we'll have some good solid numbers to back it up.
Okay. So it's basically So I know you got 6 minutes left before you got a get out. So bottom line is we're gonna watch the catalyst for roughly April, when we can start seeing some big numbers dropping into fans. And how many shares are you going to have outstanding now after the financing? What's going to be the fully diluted? What's going to be the market cap here?
I think there's going to be about 8 million additional or something like that. It's I actually didn't check, but I think it's about 8 million added to the table now, which is about 155.
Okay, so even at 160, you're talking about 70 million market cap, and if you're doing let's call 25 million revenues, it really should be worth 300 million plus 5x 10x. I don't know.
Yep. In our space, 5 to 10x is not unreasonable.
Okay, so let's call it, so 200. So it's basically there's at least a 5x upside from where the stock is right now. But of course, once you start, once April passes and we see more of these deals being signed, then the market starts, adding that forward-looking, valuation. So,
yep.
I think that.
Yeah, I think that's a great part about where we're at right now is all these things are coming in, revenue generating next year. Well, good visibility there, and so many opportunities in front of us right now.
Okay, so I'm going to have time for one last question, because you got 4 minutes here. Canada, well, can you give us because you had some news about the Canada for the Americans that don't know. What's happening in Canada? What's the new legislation?
Yeah, so it's not passed yet, but it's well on its way. So it's going to the third reading of the House here. Then it'll go to the Senate for a vote. Probably the most support we've ever had in Canada in the last decade to allow single event betting, which means that in sports betting in Canada, it's been illegal to offer single event betting from the federal or the provincial government sites. So you couldn't just bet on the Vegas Knights to win. You had to bet on the Vegas Knights to win and the Buffalo Bills to win. You had to parlay all your bets. It's terrible for bettors. Great for margins at casinos and sports books, I guess. But so that is going to be taken away. And the idea is that once that happens, more betting opportunities in Canada for the existing operators. But the bigger news that we expect is coming is that the province of Ontario, which is our biggest province here in Canada, is looking to open up to outside operators. And so again, Canada has been a government monopoly on running gaming sites, casinos, sports books, or lotteries. So Ontario is taking the first steps to now change that, which means that an outside operator like us could move into the province of Ontario, which is the largest population we have. So Canada is known as a good betting market. So that's really good for us and exciting for us, especially in terms of, we just received our Malta licenses recently. We're going after a UK license. So jurisdictions like Ontario, we expect will look for guidance from those jurisdictions that we're already in. So we're pretty confident we'll be able to pass any technical standards, audit standards that they'll have. As well as being a Canadian group, I think we're well positioned to take advantage of Canada as those changes roll out next year. So very positive for Canada. Massive potential opportunity for companies like us to move into a market that we've never operated in before.
Scott, I'm really sorry. I forgot even to bring up the European entry with a Malta license. I mean, that's a huge announcement. Darius, so
yeah.
So this is like I forgot about the main. This is like the main story here. Okay, so the Malta license, exactly what that's going to give you what opportunities to get into Europe is open up to you now.
Yeah, so a huge portion of Europe, most of Europe now opens up, and what it does is, so we got 2 licenses, and one is a direct to consumer, so we can operate brands either for ourselves or on behalf of other people. So if they want a white label, come in with a brand, we can do that with our direct to consumer license. The other one is a critical software license, which allows us to provide our software to other European licensed operators. So that's been an area where we weren't doing business development before until we got this license. The license was delayed a bit because of the merge and everything that was happening, so it was delayed. But we have it now, which now allows us to go after European operators to license our software. And then we think it will give us possible advantage in some of the places in Canada that choose to open up by having a tier 1 license like Malta and UK. It puts us in a pretty good position. So yeah, that was a big piece of news. I know Darius came on. I just saw a UK license pop up. It's underway. So we are underway in that process, and our expectation is be through and complete the process hopefully March, April next year.
Okay. Okay. We got one last question. Okay. So Scott, actually, I'm going to ask you 2 last questions. What else can we expect before the end of the year? Any kind of big news coming up?
That's 3 pretty big pieces, and we're like December 16th. So in the next 2 weeks, yeah, there could be something in the next 2 weeks, but I would more position ourselves for news next year. Which is more B2B announcements coming. So we know the platform is being well received, and we'll have more of that. The more games roll out. So I said we're almost done 4, but we will get through 10. More of those aggregators, and then the revenue numbers. McBookie's got a very strong year coming up. So McBookie's coming off what will be their best month, their best year. But the things we're putting in place for McBookie next year is just going to be huge. So we expect to have more and more announcements on the McBookie side in terms of breaking through the numbers that we've seen this year. Big news because they are a Scottish focused sports book. The Euros for soccer, football are over there next year, and Scotland's qualified for the first time in decades. So anytime Scotland's a part of a major international event, McBookie is the best position to profit from that. So huge excitement around the team for the Euros next year and to get lined up. So yeah, it's going to be a big year. And like I said, we are now going to be well positioned cash-wise, balance sheet, to execute, to market more, and to potentially look at M&A.
Okay, so things are looking pretty good. Okay, last question. This is the last question.
Okay.
Again, famous question. Top 3 reasons why, in your opinion, investors should consider FansUnite shares today.
Yeah, I think I always start with, again, like the team of people, like we're the 2 combined, we've been working at this for 7-8 years. So unbelievably great team. And that goes from everyone who's working at the company to the board to our longtime shareholders. So amazing group of people around us. Momentum. I think momentum is always big, and we're coming off a wave of momentum right now, and that's just going to drive us through the next year. So not just momentum from the FansUnite side, but I would say also on the market side in terms of the space we're in. There's more and more good news coming next year. The North America with Canada and US states, there's just going to be more opening up of opportunities, not less. So there's huge momentum on this space. And then the opportunity we know is just massive. Again, like the things we have in front of us, it's the biggest opportunities I've ever seen in 7 or 8 years of our company. So it is the most exciting time to jump in now.
Okay, Scott, on that note, I want to thank you. We'll catch up with you hopefully before the end of the year.
Yeah, thanks a lot. See you, Jack.
Okay, so that was fantastic. Let's, if you could just stand by. Let me just get the next guest ready here. No, okay, here we go. Let me bring this up. Okay, we are ready for Todd. Todd.
Hey, Jack, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. I mean, it's nice to be back on here. Thanks for having me.
Listen, a lot of people are happy you're back because the stock is basically tripled since you first showed up. So the more you show up, the higher it goes.
Listen, all we do is put our head down and work. So, of course, when you see a stock price go up, it's nice for the company to notice that, but it doesn't change the vision and the ultimate work that goes in pretty much 24/7 here, where I am in Toronto, Canada, but also where our president, Hans Derks, is in the Netherlands.
Yeah, no, so you had some pretty interesting news, which I kind of want to get into, which is you have you're growing, what is it, 1,000,000 grams? 1,000,000 grams that you're going to be growing. You got the Brazil news. Let me just see what's the first thing I wanted to ask you. Okay, so I want to ask you actually about, okay, so first of all, before we get into it, can you explain to our audience the difference again between magic mushrooms and magic truffles? Exactly what is Red Light Holland do for anybody that's just tuning in right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. And actually, I look forward to not only just describing the difference, but showing the difference as I brought a presentation with me today. So we'll do that in a moment where you get to actually physically see the truffles, because a lot of people are correct. They've not even heard what a magic truffle is. And ultimately, the major difference, and I said this last time I was on your program, where I'm not a mycologist, but it's the underground sclerotia of the magic mushroom. So it's its own separate source. And basically it never sees the light of day. And when you grow it and recreate the grow process in inoculated airtight sealed bags, which essentially recreates a sterile environment as well, while not being EU GMP or anything, that's the truffle that is grown, which has psilocybin within it and which is legal to sell in the Netherlands.
Okay. And the effect, the psychedelic effect, the mushrooms versus the truffle.
Well, psilocybin is psilocybin. So some say that the truffle itself has a more consistent sort of basis to it, where there's no standardization yet because you can't sell these in capsules or in pill-like form or anything. That they say there's more of a consistent basis within the truffle rather than that dried, yucky mushroom. Whereas the truffle also, when you consume it, it is soft. It's walnutty kind of looking feel, but a softer texture. And to be honest, it's kind of got this neat little lemon kind of hint of aftertaste. And I mean, I quite like it. I've been in the Netherlands. I quite like my product.
Okay. So let's get into Red Light Holland. What is the business model right now? Like you're actually, I think probably what a lot of investors want to know is, because look, the psychedelic sector is hot right now. There's a lot of stocks moving. So what separates Red Light Holland from there's like a dozen stocks out there right now. I can't keep track.
Yeah, another great question. And listen, at the end of the day, some have measured the entire psychedelic industry as a whole at $100 billion marketplace. So meaning that if there's $100 billion out there, how do companies find some of that market share? So Red Light Holland's strategy going into it, seeing decks and seeing a lot of people talk about the science and talking about, trying to create IP and really becoming biopharma, big pharma. They're creating big pharma is what they want to do. They want to create some sort of wonderful drug potentially that could help with all the issues of the day, like which is very sad, the mental health issues of the day, anxiety, stress, more severely like post-traumatic stress disorder, all these kind of things. And there is a mental health crisis going on. And I don't think anybody needs to pull up numbers, because I'm sure if we actually pulled up the real numbers, especially with COVID-19 right now,
we had doctors on the other day. They said there's serious problems right now.
It's a very serious problem. And then so back to Red Light Holland's kind of business strategy, and this wasn't COVID related, this was just sort of people related from the day, was how do we try to predict where a legal and recreational market might be, as opposed to just going pure medical? But with that being said, how do we responsibly provide that product? And how also do we support the science and support the medical research, which is within our Scarlet Lily Science and Innovation Division? Meaning, how is there some digital tech behind what we do? How is there a digital care program which we're creating, which can potentially track our users of our products, and then maybe get some information that we can provide that might make a difference in terms of learning about IP and what this product can do for you? So it's not to say, of course, we're for the science and for the medical companies, but we believe in the natural product. And we also believe, Jack, that really college kids these days, 30-year-olds, 35-year-olds, they really believe in the natural products of things. Plant-based medicines is what we keep hearing about. Why are we turning those into synthetics and then maybe trying to recreate through compounds what the effects can have on humans to really help? Why not try and work with the natural products to potentially try and help? And I think Red Light Holland has a really interesting differentiator from a lot of the other companies. Is A, we have product now on shelves in the Netherlands, and I'm going to show you all about it. And right. B, while I can't make medical claims, all I need to do is listen to some of our users, for example, and I'll share this email if I have to. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to because of data protection reasons and stuff, but a lady who reached out to me from Switzerland recently, and she said, my son, early fall, was in the Netherlands, mid-fall was in the Netherlands, tried your product, and this is an email, this isn't me saying this, and she said, this helped with his OCD. He's now back in Switzerland. How can you ship me your product? Because I've never seen my son better. And I said, listen, sadly, I can't ship you my product. I have to keep it within the Netherlands right now. But it's really interesting to hear these anecdotal stories about why people microdose, why people use magic truffles, and really ultimately across the world illegal.
Okay, so first of all, it's I guess it's control. It's a micro dose. So you have everything is kind of, it's not like some crazy somebody.
Well, I mean, and listen, I wouldn't even say crazy, Jack, because there's the hero doses and the macro doses when it comes to using psilocybin. A lot of people are reading a lot of the stories about these psychological guidance of assisted therapies where people are using the psychedelics to really dig deep and go deep. And this is sort of a big important part of what a lot of companies are doing, including ourselves, because we have a non-binding agreement with a company in the Netherlands called Psychedelic Insights. So we believe also that, under the right conditions, through this education and through this information, that was a great little thing that just popped up. I just noticed that really quick. I'm living proof. This isn't me. I don't know. I'm Steve's. Unreal, right? So you just hear these anecdotal stories. How can we ignore what people are saying?
This guy needs some. He needs some.
But back to not being crazy is that, it's all about setting controlled environments and, of course, the right people. And when it comes to microdosing, though, and you can go and read a lot about this, it's really very little percentages of psilocybin that, while I can't make the medical claims, again, the chances of it really, taking you to that levels that you're thinking might be crazy are very, very slim to none.
Okay. So I think the key takeaway is what separates, TRIP, Red Light Holland from, a lot of the companies in the space is you actually have, you're gonna start right now revenues coming in. So it's actually immediate. It's not a pharmaceutical that's going to be, 10 years out. If it gets, it's good. That's way out there, somewhere distant on the horizon. Here, we could see revenues coming in, over the next couple of months. And you just announced, you're growing this is your second crop, right? That you just planted.
Yes, that's right, Jack. So we started small. Listen, we're new to the industry. We wanted to make sure that we're learning about the Netherlands market. We're learning about our demographics. We're trying to figure out who they are. And we're starting small, trying not to replicate the mistakes that a lot of cannabis companies made, which was setting up the biggest facilities in the world and growing so much cannabis and really having nowhere to distribute it to, not even really understanding who their market was. So for us, we tested our first batch of 100,000 grams. It's unbelievable what Hans Derricks, our president, is doing over there with a very small team in the Netherlands. It's a facility in Horst, the Netherlands. And the 100,000 grams, while we haven't measured exactly what we got out of them yet, because the harvest is still about a few days away from measuring them exact, we have signed a definitive agreement with a wholesale agreement to purchase all of that batch of truffles. Again, it might end up 90,000, might end up 110,000. We're very close to finding out, but that is pre-sold in a definitive agreement of a sales, a purchase. So at this point, it's like, well, let's start getting our second crop going. We're starting to learn the market. We're starting to, predict where we think it's going to go. So for us, we're starting now with 1 million grams of truffles, because we feel that there will definitely be, whether it's through wholesale or through our products themselves, that there's a market for that for sure.
Okay, so I guess the main question I guess investors want to know is, okay, so 1 million grams, like how many, I guess, micro packages or micro, and what is it worth in revenues? Like, how much is this going to generate and when?
So for selective disclosure reasons, I have to wait because I haven't talked about margins. And listen, what I can tell you is this: when you're in a consumer's good business, typically your margins, like anyone really knows how the margin kind of template works. If you're growing and then sell direct to wholesale, well, it's not as much because the wholesale is doing the distributing for you. If you're selling direct to the stores, well, it's a little bit more. And if you're selling direct to your website where there's no middlemen, or middle anybody, it's a much higher. So I can tell you that if people go to our website right now to imicrodose.nl, where we have some ad campaigns running within the Netherlands to get people to go and check out the product and perhaps purchase it, those are the best margins. But there's ultimately the really neat thing, and so many people want to group Red Light Holland into kind of the early recreational adult responsible use cannabis companies. I believe, and again, I'm not from the cannabis industry other than the fact that I promoted tweed and canopy growth as I worked closely with Bruce Linton and the team. And I'll talk about how Bruce Linton works with me, but I wasn't on management. So I didn't see the numbers that went into it. But I can tell you that I'm guessing it is so much more affordable to grow truffles. Truffles, as I told you, they grow in these inoculated, airtight sealed bags that ultimately, not to take away from the process and how complicated it is, but once they're in the bag before the harvest, you're really just keeping them in a very consistent temperatured room, which is between 21 and 23 degrees. And they sort of sit on racks of shelves while they develop in the bags, meaning you're not cropping, you're not trimming, you're not worried about a failed crop. I mean, these are like a really kind of proven way of growing truffles. And by the way, we just grew our first 100,000 grams, and I'll show you some pictures of that, how that works. So meaning that, our team over there has done that quite well, and we're very proud of it. And it's very cost efficient.
We got a comment here, Ranveer saying, people with bad opioid addictions, and in the end, microdosing is the only thing that helped get them off it. That's a big game changer.
Jack, as I told you and your awesome viewers last week, and maybe now even new investors, when I came from the radio background and I did these deep dives and spoke to people with so much anxiety and so much depression, so many anecdotal stories over and over and over again came back to microdosing. And some will say, yeah, there's still more studies that need to go in it, and there could be placebo effect, and we got to really learn what it is. It's like, well, there's a product right now that is out there. And if you read people and read studies and read blogs and read what people are saying, I'm not saying it, of course, but you could just hashtag microdose on Instagram, on Twitter. There is so much research available to us by the internet right now. And of course, everything on the internet isn't true. We know that. But when you're looking at what people are sharing with their experiences,
right. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence.
Yeah. And you got to think, why would they lie? So, meaning we keep hearing these stories. And one of the big studies going on even currently is how do magic mushrooms, magic truffles, more with the magic mushroom, but psilocybin, can they actually wean people off of opioids? And we all know about the huge big pharma opioid crisis, the Sacklers, and the billions of dollars of lawsuits and blah, blah, blah. And of course they claim bankruptcy to try to take, I don't know much about, but all I'm saying is, why aren't we considering natural based products? And us as a company, Red Light Holland in the Netherlands, where legally we can sell them, we're very proud to be able to put them into smart shops and sell them online, and then learn from our consumer base to see if it's working for them.
Yeah, it's another one. Some microdosing. So it's almost like it's almost like the truffles, the magic truffles, are kind of where cannabis was, a few years back.
It's really. Listen, it's really interesting you say that, Jack, because in 2001, I believe that's the year they in Canada. The basically allowed the use of cannabis plants, mind you, for compassionate grounds for people who were terminally ill. And then, fast forward, we all saw the path in Canada, where I'm from, which eventually became more medically available, where you could get it prescribed from a doctor who just really loved using cannabis. Let's call a spade here, and then prescribed it to people because they knew the benefits it had on them, because there weren't many studies yet at that point doing so. And then it went the way of the legal route. So now in Canada, fast forward 2020, we've seen the health minister allow the usage of magic mushrooms, the natural product, mind you, not a synthetic, and maybe a concoction of it where it's like, drip through teas or whatever. There's ways to do it. They've allowed it for compassionate grounds and for reasons of trauma. So when we see that, we see this path, and then Canada recently announced that now they're going to allow training for psychologists to use psilocybin for these therapeutic reasons. So now that's been announced. So we look at this and we go, wow, as a company, we sell magic truffles. We're learning from our consumers really positive results. We've packaged it really neatly in a responsible way with education and information, with a leaflet talking about it, with VR, which I'll talk about, the virtual reality, which educates you on the truffle itself, on psilocybin, on the origins, and of course, trying to mimic that feeling of a microdose to make sure you're comfortable with it. We're self-regulatory as a company. Maybe as other countries start to put in these more, favorable rules in place, they'll look at a company like ours, we think, and go, wow, while they marketed it and they branded it, they also did it responsibly. So is there an opportunity to open it up like the way cannabis became open in Canada? And we'll soon see. I mean, it might not ever happen. It could happen, maybe a year from now. We don't really know where the markets are going to lie. But in the meantime, we're going to explore carefully as a company every other market we can be into. And by the way, we've announced a non-binding agreement with Halo Labs. It's a very established cannabis company that started in Oregon. And we're going to be working, we think, if we sign the definitive, of course, but with them. And I can't, listen, I'm friends with the CEO, Kieran Sidhu. We want to work together. Little due diligence has to go into it. But of course, we also are learning what Measure 109 is going to look like as they write that regulatory framework. So by the way, we have a jump out of the gate to potentially end up in Oregon. This week also, one of our big announcements was Brazil. There's a company called Disruptive Pharma there. And all anybody has to do is go to mundihealth.com. It's MUNDI health.com, or mypharma2go.com, mypharma with the number 2 go.com, and look at the products that they're distributing. And this is a company that we're in a non-binding with as well in Brazil, but they're distributing supplements and sort of these therapeutic kind of medicines and stuff. And so if we get into a binding there while we learn about the true legalities in Brazil, because everybody's saying you can do it in Brazil, but until you have a careful legal opinion as a publicly traded company, you don't quite want to go in there yet. But look at that market, over 200 million people. Yeah,
we got a lot of people they're asking about Brazil. We got a bunch of questions. I think, can we go? You were going to show us the video. I think you have a video queued up. You want to show?
Before I do, dude, I didn't know. Should I wear this hat today? Because you wanted me to switch it up. I didn't know if I should I wear this hat. Should I wear like that hat? The t-shirt, like
get a whole bunch there.
iMicrodose.ca for all our merch, by the way, which can create another revenue stream for companies. So if you really love the brand, support the merch. Okay, so and iMicrodose.nl is where you can get that's where you can get the microdose packs, but iMicrodose.ca is where you can get the merch.
This guy says, I think he ordered, or he's tried. I guess he's a customer, Gerben.
Right? I mean, if you're in the Netherlands, you could be a customer.
Okay, and so we're going to talk about Brazil, Oregon, all that stuff. Do you want to show? You want to show the video? You want to show it?
I do want to show the video, and it's a little bit of production. It's a little bit of me narrating live, and I think now's a good time to do this. So let's jump in here. Is it Jack? This is new for me. I'm from the radio background. So let's make. Can you see this?
I see it. Yeah. All you got to do is just press the play button on your end.
Great. And can you hear it?
I don't hear anything yet.
Let me put up the volume. I'm sorry about this. Let's see if this works. Here we go. Can you hear it now?
No, I don't hear it. Oh,
no.
I do.
You do hear it?
Yeah. So this is the fridge.
Okay, so that's just a little intro to what I'm about to tell you. Red Light Holland, underground and mainstream, the people's company. So this started off with an idea about a year ago. We went to the Netherlands and we started to go around and looked at just typical normal mushroom farms, okay? This is in Horst. It's known as, these are legal mushrooms, by the way. And we started to look about how, look to see how, really easily you could grow mushrooms, and recreating the truffle market, if you see these stacks of shelves, is how it could look for truffles. So we started to think about all the truffles you could start growing. This is from about a year and a half ago, this video. So this is just us checking out, facilities, and then sort of Red Light Holland was born. It was an idea, but we just wanted to make sure it was a viable market, as we went out to go and raise money. So we went out and we raised money and started Red Light Holland, and it was a really, great thing. And we put together a team. So here what you're looking at is Brad Lamb. Now, Brad Lamb is the chairman of our board of directors. And why I think it's important to bring up Brad Lamb is because I'm a big believer that success breeds success. And if I was going to start a company and, of course, raise money and then go public and do our best to increase shareholder value, management team to me is one of the most important things. And I don't want to just put faces on a management team because they're my buddies or because, they maybe had experience, but the company didn't do well, but they sort of understood capital markets. I wanted to put successful people on the management team. Now, I'm not going to disclose Brad Lamb's wealth, but I'm going to tell you, as one of the biggest developers in Canada and is sort of a real estate kind of king over there within Toronto. All one has to do is look at his car collection to know it. But it's not about that. It's about his hard work and his experience of dealing with regulatory bodies. It's not just easy to go and build a 70-story building. You have to go through a lot of issues with the government to make sure you qualified to do so. Brad is unbelievable to have on the team. So as we go forward here, you'll see some other people. Ann Barnes. So Ann Barnes is such an amazing, wonderful, powerful woman. I mean, listen, she got the first medical cannabis license in Canada ever for a company called Peace Naturals that I believe ended up selling out to the Cronus Group. So, I mean, she was a part of the teams, the early pioneers. So when you have Anne who decides to not only invest in your company, and so did Brad, by the way, but want to jump on your board, I mean, these are the types of individuals you want to lead you to success down the road, not just faces on a deck. And that was important to me because they're my mentors. I learn by them. I respect them immensely. And together, through our MD&A and just great sort of board meetings, good corporate governance, I just think it's really important. Okay, look at this face right here. Jack, do you remember? Do you recognize that face?
It looks familiar.
So Bruce Linton, him and I have a bit of a history. Actually, I'll play that history before I talk about Bruce Linton. Have a listen to this. So that's I'll just go back here a little bit. That was me on stage as a Canopy Growth ambassador for Tweed, bringing up Snoop Dogg. And I got to meet Bruce Linton by doing that. And listen, I'm from the media background, and this is obviously fun. And I met Snoop on many occasions, really cool guy, obviously. But what I found most intriguing, and I think I brought this up on last week's broadcast here with you, Jack, and to all your wonderful listeners and viewers, was the fact that here's a guy. When I was hosting this, and all anyone does is go and reconcile the date, I think the market cap of Canopy Growth was like $15 billion. The stock was at like, I think $66, $67 or something at the time. And Bruce was sitting there blowing up beach balls and throwing them into the audience. And to me, that's the type of CEO I always envision being, a people CEO, listening to what people want, who invest in you and believe in the vision. And I just found it amazing to see him be like that. And we became and developed a very nice friendship ever since. And he is very active in helping lead this company as the chair of our advisory board. We have weekly talks. To be honest, we probably talk 5 times a week. And he is just an amazing person to have in our corner. Let's move forward a little bit here. Oh, there's Snoop again. Okay, so this is Hans Derricks. And I thought it was really important to bring Hans to show everybody because he is from Horst. He is a Dutch native. He knows the lay of the land. He knows the culture. He speaks the language. He's growing truffles for us. He's harvesting them. He's literally with his hands, working in the factory, in our facility, in our grow up. He is such an important piece that I don't ever want anyone to, just see big names on our management staff, but not realize the key people that are working on the day-to-day. And I think why it's important is if you're opening up shop in a foreign country, because I'm from Canada, you always want someone who understands the lay of the land, like I said, and have that native tongue. And Hans is just phenomenal. We can move forward a little bit here. Okay, so here's Russell Peters. Russell Peters, of course, a global sensation. as a comedian, built up his own brand to literally, you know, I don't know his net worth either, but go look at Forbes' highest paid comedians list a few years back, and you'll be able to discover it. Here's a little clip of Russell in case you don't know him. Russell's a fun guy.
With the theme of the city, I did go to the red light district again yesterday, you know, to look around.
So that's Russell. So we started to put together this team, and then we got our conditional approval on May 26th this year to go public, and we went public on May 28th on the CSE as TRIP, and we're also traded as TRUFF on the OTC and 4YX on the Frankfurt Exchange. So then as we went public, we decided to name a science and innovation division, like I mentioned, called Scarlet Lily. And I got Dr. Joe Geraci here as an advisor. And I encourage people to Google Dr. Joe Geraci too, and his company, Netramark. It's a private company, but he is such a bright mind. We have so many bright minds behind the scenes, which is why I wanted to bring them up. We also have, you know, incredible people like Sarah Hashkes. Sarah Hashkes is an advisor for Scarlet Lily and Innovation, is also the CEO of Radix Motion, and she is currently has sent out the VR headsets for that educational experience when it comes to Magic Truffles, and you're going to be in smart shops in the sort of iMic, we're calling it, centers, information in these, you know, informational media centers, which are really important. And Sarah is just a genius when it comes to augmented reality, when it comes to creating apps and web-based apps. And she's also a really brilliant person. And I encourage after this presentation for someone to go and Google predictive processing and Sarah Hashkes and go to YouTube and look at her speaking about things that I believe that there's very important people within the psilocybin industry, like Robin Carhart-Harris, who you know, quotes some of the things she has said. Really amazing stuff to have Sarah aboard. And I thought, you know, this is interesting. We have the Honorable Tony Clement on staff here too as an advisor. This is the former health minister of Canada. So it's pretty neat to have the former health minister of a country on your team when you're trying to, you know, bring forward and develop new sort of, you know, potential supplements or drugs, whatever you want to call them, to new markets. And Tony obviously has the ins and outs how that works. Now, listen, I have to, you know, again, I'm a very direct, transparent person. And Jack, you can hear me, by the way, right? I'm not just rambling. Yeah. Good. My transparency lies in the fact that, you know, Tony in the day was against these sort of drug safety injection centers as a conservative leader. And he didn't like the idea that people were getting kind of free access to very hard drugs. And I want to make this very clear to people, and it's a very important point. Much like we saw earlier, I believe it was Revere who mentioned that the opioid crisis is bad, and some people, I'm not saying this, but some people are using microdose to help them wean off of it. There's a big difference between heroin and the hard drugs than there is to psilocybin. And I think it's very dangerous to group drugs. And that's why I think it's important that, you know, while Tony might have been on one side before, it doesn't mean that he doesn't believe that psilocybin, after him doing a deep dive and after him discovering anything, that it could make a difference as well. And that's what we're trying to do as a company, is learn if it can make a difference. And that's why you see this. This is early concepts for us. Here's what we thought our box would look like. The truffles packaged in it for microdosing. Again, you see the app there through augmented reality. These were just early stage ideas from our company, and how can we put them in place? As we kept moving forward, we've talked about, we got to do virtual reality. We got to make sure that we can develop that. Hey, how about a wisdom truffle? Can we create the wisdom truffle, which again, I'll talk about a little later, but we want to bring this character in virtual reality to life that then is developed into a companion figure that you can buy as an alternative revenue stream. So these are concepts, you know, months ago. Can we bring this to life? But the point I'm trying to make here is we're a company that doesn't just talk about concepts, doesn't just have a deck. We're a company that anything we talk about, we want to bring to life. We want to deliver on. So when you hear us talking about Oregon and hear us talking about Brazil, I'm not just talking about those things. I want those to come to life, much like the wisdom truffle has. And we'll tell you who's actually doing the final wisdom truffle in a moment. Here's early packaging ideas now, from drawing to actually trying it. Here's what it would look like is the new concept. And then guess what? Here's what a fridge would look like, because they got to be kept in the raw, unprocessed, natural form, the truffles, meaning they need to be refrigerated or they go bad, they spoil. And then, you know, you think Red Bull. We talked about Red Bull a lot last week. How big can this company get? Well, who knows? It's a brand new company. It's a nascent industry, but I don't think anyone thought Red Bull would be the powerhouse it was. And if you have a fridge and a differentiator when people go into smart shops to see them, well, this is what we wanted it to look like. We wanted to create a campaign of you microdose, because we can't tell you. We want us to tell you, oh, this is really interesting. So how many small cap companies, and maybe we're not so small cap anymore because our market cap is increasing greatly, and we really appreciate everyone for supporting our vision here, but get on Joe Rogan. So why did I bring Russell Peters into the picture? Not just because he's a successful guy, because he's a connected guy who can help with my brand exposure and all of our brand exposure. He gets on Joe Rogan recently. Have a listen.
I've never done it. You know, I'm the CCO of a company that does
a microdosing company.
Yeah, it's
how do they do that if it's all super illegal?
Can you turn up the volume when you're in?
It's a company called Red Light Holland.
I'm sorry if the volume was tough to hear there. We'll have to figure that out for the next one, Jack. My apologies here. But
they ask him if he's ever tried DMT. That's his standard.
No, he actually talked about microdosing psilocybin there, and Russell. In his full on, again, we're all about transparency. We want to be genuine and authentic in this company. We don't want to BS you. He's not going to lie and says he has if he hasn't. He hasn't done it. But what he does know is he knows a lot of comedian friends who have struggled and tried it, and he's heard positive results because of it. So he wanted to be a part of the vision and help with exposure here and help grow the company. You know, this was only after 3 days of him being on Rogan. I think you can see there 2.4 million views. I bet you that's doubled since then. Russell, him talking to Rogan, they even made a little, then they got into DMT after that. And then, they got another probably couple million views. Here's me working with Sarah Hashkes, where we're creating the augmented reality. We're not just talking about doing it, we're showing it. We're showing the wisdom truffle, what it's going to look like when you hold a phone to it, the type of information you can get from it. You dancing within their movement data. This is her big talk. So I'm showing you the development behind the scenes. Here's what the end of the VR experience looks like now that's in headsets. Of course, it's way more immersive and in 3D when you go and check it out. This is just sort of the 2D version. Have a listen to this. I hope you can hear it.
Neuroscience framework called predictive processing. According to this theory, the brain is a prediction machine. Perception is a creative process, like building a sandcastle. Imagine the sand is the information coming into your senses, and the buckets are your brain's priors. Try catching the sand. Many of the 5-HT2A receptors are situated on the neurons that are calculating your priors, creating your buckets. When psilocybin connects to the receptors,
Anyway, that's an example. Jack, I hope you could hear it. I apologize for the audio. I'm such an audio lover too. I hate if you can't hear good audio, but that's what the virtual reality experience is going to look like when you're in the smart shops, buying our product, learning about it, and then making an informed decision for yourself if you want to get it, because you're learning about the origins, you're getting educated, you're mimicking the microdose feel. And if you think that feels off, don't buy the product. That's what we want to do as a company. So again, the point I'm trying to make here is we're doing so much so soon. I'm so proud of our team, and it's a tight team on a tiny budget. Here's the concepts of the microdose box, by the way, and let's look what reality looks like here. Well, there's reality. This was sort of this is what the final product looked like right here. So you see the box, and you see, we went into a great design. Here's me bringing it to a store in the Netherlands late September, showing you everything that's inside of it. We're showing you the package. I'm showing you the leaflet. It's explaining about it. You can see the fridge in the background. Again, not just concepts, not just ideas, action, deliverables. That's in a smart shop. Here we're delivering 40 boxes into another smart shop called Tatanka in Amsterdam. So you can see our packages, what it looks like. I think this is a really important thing for consumers. We're not just telling stories here. We're delivering on our action. A very important leaflet there that explains about microdosing, gives you contraindications of it, gives recommended sort of frequency. It looks really neat too. Great little separator that if you walk into these smart shops, you're going to see some amazing stuff. Have a listen to this, Jack. This is just a neat little video we did when we did a launch party, and I hope the volume comes up. Did it help when I put my headphones close?
Yeah, I heard the volume better for some reason.
Okay, so I think I put my headphones close. So that's what I'm going to do on this one too, okay? So proud of having that launch party. It was so neat. There were like tons of influencers at it. A lot of people really loving it, giving us feedback. That's also important. You learn instant feedback, and it's definitely a separator from, we believe, all the other products within the Netherlands. Oh, here's just me talking at the launch party.
Microdose brand can go, and we're really excited now to launch it. I went on
on record May 28th when we were publicly listed, and I said, we are going to have iMicrodose packs on shelves in the Netherlands in a market where we're allowed to do this.
I think that's important. I showed that clip because we global stream the event, meaning we know we're in a small market right now, but let's build the brand everywhere in the world, because if we can do that, create alternative revenue streams from it too, through the clothing, through the wisdom truffle that Kareem Rashid is bringing to life, who's the structural designer of the Americas and Time People's Eyes. And if we could develop that brand as markets potentially open up, like Oregon, maybe California one day, maybe Colorado, maybe Canada, maybe Brazil, of course, which we're trying to enter into soon, and we'll have more announcements, I would imagine, very soon about that. At least let the brand resonate globally. Think bigger, and that's what we do as a company. What you're about to see here is the truffles in growth. These are truffles in our facility right now. This is what it looks like in the bags. Those are 3 strains: Tampanensis, Galindoy, and Mexicana. And that's like,
what's the
this
difference?
is the result. This is the result of the truffle. It's like, look how delicious those look. They do to me anyway. This is us packaging the truffles. These are 3 different strains. This was for our first 100,000 grams that now we're eventually, I say within a few days, are going to get to that definitive, purchase agreement that they're almost done. Here's us packaging our iMicrodose packs within our facility. See the boxes. Here's the wisdom truffle. That was the concept. We, of course, then sat, listen, I don't know if you're going to hear this. This is me. I was like super fanboy. This is Kareem Rashid. I couldn't believe it. He's giving us feedback as he's designing it. I don't want to we're not just putting Kareem on a deck. We got one of the best structural designers in the world bringing this companion figure to life. And here he's giving me feedback. He didn't love it. Let's see if you can hear it. I'm going to see if you can hear it here. See, I love that. He actually said he didn't love the design of it. If he's going to bring this thing to life, he said it looks like a vase that just cracked. Of course, he should give us that feedback. He's one of the top designers in the world. So he'll work on it and develop it into something even better than that. And that's what we want. Surround yourselves around success. It breeds success. The dream team of success. That's what we're creating here. That's what I want. So we have successful products, successful revenues, and a successful, obviously great business, at the best interest of all our shareholders. Again, concept fridge, few months ago only, and fridge in a smart shop. This is called, this is a smart shop, I believe, in us. Concept merchandise. Let's just put it on a computer screen. Hey, here's real merchandise that people are now buying online. You can see our toques. Not just a face on a deck, Bruce Linton. Oh yeah, we put him on the advisory board. Wow, they're putting Bruce Linton on. How about just about a week ago in Toronto during this whole thing? We meet up, have a meeting, have a coffee on a Saturday morning to catch up and obviously discuss business. These are interactions that we do with the management team. They're not faces on decks. And this is what we think is so important. We work closely with everybody. And of course, you move forward about concepts to, here's Oregon. Could we get to Oregon? Well, listen, we're working with Halo Labs. This is the intention, to get into a definitive Watch Measure 109's framework. Can we get into Brazil? Well, now we've signed this non-binding with Disruptive Pharma. This isn't hopefully just something we're signing as a we want to be able to say, yes, we'll be in Brazil, and we're going to have announcements, update the market with that, as we go through our due diligence period. Canada. Well, I told you earlier about all the Canadian announcements when it came to allowing magic mushrooms, the natural product, for compassionate grounds use. And now, of course, training psychiatrists. Well, guess what? We are in this non-binding with Psychedelic Insights for these assisted therapeutic use. This is our envision. How can maybe, if we get into the definitive, bring that to Canada one day, because now we have the expertise. This is a fun little clip, by the way. Okay, this is me and Flava Flav on stage in Toronto years ago. But when I look at our brand and when I look at what we're doing, I look at the things that I got to experience in my life, watching and communicating, having my ear to the street, as I mentioned before to you, Jack, and listening to who your demographic is. I've experienced this firsthand. I've seen thousands and thousands of people like when something is produced and like when they're receiving it, whether it's radio or concerts or product-based. I've been a part of these experiences. My vision isn't small like the Netherlands. My vision is I want to be able to have a red light Holland, who knows, branded concert one day like you see with the alcohol companies. This is just a fun little clip. So there you have it, Jack. This is what you get with our company.
Oh, let me go back. Okay. Should we jump into some questions? Okay.
Okay.
Todd, okay. Okay. So
I'm back.
let's jump into some audience questions. We got. Let me see if we can catch up here. So I think. Actually, let me see. We got questions. The product questions. We got product questions. Hang on. Maybe we'll just catch up. We got hundreds of. I think he was asking. So he's asking about the shelf life. He was also asking about the suggested retail price.
Yeah, the retail, that's a good, yeah, that I can do for sure. So once they're packaged, you got about a 3-month shelf life with the truffles. Some say a little longer, like anything, you know, think about it as a natural substance. It can go a little bit past usually what they tell you. You can eat a banana if it goes a little brown, you know what I mean? But, and you buy it for $25 in stores or online. But if you go to imicrodose.nl and you decide to buy it online, if you want to do it in 3-month, 6-month, or 12-month sort of subscription-based models, you can get it for $1 cheaper per pack. If you choose the 3-month, you get it for $1 cheaper, and then the 6-month, $2 cheaper per pack, and then if you go the year, you'll get it for $3 cheaper per pack.
Okay, so Gerald, I think, is asking does dosage remain stable in the fridge?
Yes, it does. Again, the you know, you'll always hear, could it go under? Could it go? There's no standardization in our truffles. They are natural products. But if you talk to the consumers about them, they say that the truffle is usually the most consistent. So if you take a gram of a truffle, you're typically, you know, going to feel the same psilocybin content if you take another gram later that week or another gram in a couple of months from now.
Okay. We got a bunch of people asking about Buzz. What are you doing with Buzz?
So we own a bunch of Buzz shares.
Super fan of the channel.
Okay. Hey. Okay. we own a bunch of Buzz shares, and Buzz owns a bunch of our shares. And I like Dan Cohen. I like their CEO, and I like the idea that also they have a store in Teal that we have product in. So, you know, that's big. We have, you know, our product, it's just another smart shop, which is obviously great for the ability to sell. I have to ask Dan though, I don't know if there's renovations currently going on with that store today. I think there was something about renovations. I have to check in with that. But again, you know, I know our fridge is in a store.
Okay, so we got Joey saying you got to keep microdosing. Are you microdosing right now?
Listen, it's illegal for me to microdose in Canada. Unfortunately, I'm not going to take the chance and go and order it online right now because I'm the CEO of a publicly traded company that is promoting microdosing clearly. But, you know, people are doing it illegally. And this goes back to what I said, Jack. Yeah, so many people are ordering these products online. Why not listen to the people? And governments need to listen to the people, especially if they want to collect tax dollars when tax dollars aren't being collected the way they used to be. Tourism's down, other retail's down, etc. So maybe, just maybe, they're going to listen to the people who want natural products, but then they're going to look to the companies who have been responsible from day one and been self-regulatory to make sure they give these through education, information, and responsible adult use, as opposed to just an illegal website online.
Bradley's asking, is there any updates with studies on psychedelic mushrooms and depression that are happening in Germany?
So I haven't researched recently, but I do know that Germany came out just with a month ago saying this is their plan, and they're our neighbor. So Germany's opening up. You're seeing a lot of countries opening up to psychedelics, the use of psychedelics, and potentially the use of a more widespread recreational psychedelic.
Any other celebrity endorsements coming up?
You mean bigger than me? You can no. Listen, that's so nice. We have Russell Peters. We have Kareem Rashid. We have Chloe, who's like multiples of millions of followers on Instagram and Facebook and of course Twitter. You know, listen, I'm lucky. I could do a whole slideshow of people I've met in my day, like from Snoop Dogg to Jeff Goldblum, you name it. Am I connected with a lot of people? Of course. And if there's ever opportunities, I'll let the market know if they arise.
Okay. We got, I guess, a comment here. Stuart saying he was on SSRIs for years, unable to wean off until I started microdosing. I've never felt better. I have no nasty side effects.
Stuart, I'm first off, thank you for being candid, because it's so interesting how the stigma's ending, right? Where a lot of people are now opening up about their usage and being proud of the results. And as a company, we keep wanting to hear those results clearly. And we're just most of all, we're just so happy people are doing better. And secondly, with our iDigital Care program that should be done 2 to 3 months, I believe, this is what we want to hear to get the data for, to be able to actually show the results of our products and then use that almost as like a digital medicine, like a large clinical trial with the actual natural product.
Okay. I guess we'll get a comment from Brad saying BC Premier has formally asked Canadian federal government to decriminalize all illegal drugs, and this is just the first step on path to legalization, I guess, for psychedelics in BC.
I think I need to hire Brad for as IR for me. I think that's send me your resume. I can't predict that, Jack, but if you sort of try to have vision, maybe that can happen. And do we know it? We can never say that as a company. We can't predict the future. But what we can tell you is what's happening right now, the mental health crisis. And what we can tell you is the Canadian government has already admitted, they've set a precedent by telling the people, all of us, that if you sadly are terminally ill or if you're suffering from major trauma, they're allowing you to use magic mushrooms. They're allowing you to use psilocybin. So if they're allowing some, will that open up the door to allow others? Because the precedent has been set. They're not just allowing these people who, again, we're so happy they get to use it because it's going to help, they say, with their anxieties as they sadly, at their end of their life. But that's a precedent and an important one as a business person to look at and go, well, maybe this is where this market's going as well.
Sam is asking, what's the release date for the companion, the doll? I guess the Karim Rashid.
Kareem's working on it, and we're waiting. We'll probably have a meeting with him next week as he's designing it. I'm so excited. Kareem's an interesting guy because he's taking this like very super seriously, and when you're working with an individual, obviously, who's compensated to do so, but also worked with the brands like Hugo Boss or Samsung or like major brands. We are just so excited to get it. And then you got to manufacture it, then you got to market it. So it takes a bit of time, but listen, I want this to be a conversation piece in everybody's home, in everybody's condo, in everybody's office. My goal of this is, like, if you think of like the cause figures we spoke about last week, if you even think about Elf on a Shelf, it's the Christmas season right now. There is a massive market for the Elf on the Shelf, and can we recreate that with a wisdom truffle? That's one step ahead of all of them because it's going to have augmented reality in it that actually talks to you and gives you positive messages and creates an eye microdose lifestyle for you, encouraging to put your phone down and go and enjoy the outdoors or go and enjoy a walk with your family. I mean, this is what we want to create. We want people to live in the moment, to be connected again. And as much as I love talking to Jack on these video conferences and to all of you, we need to separate ourselves sometimes from all these screens and get out and enjoy life and what's in front of us naturally.
Yeah, for sure. No, so Todd, what I want to ask you about Brazil, the Brazil. So you announced the Brazil joint venture, right?
Yes.
How's that going to work? And also, I guess the next question is, when can we see the kind of revenues from there? Is there any kind of visibility into that? Or what's the market opportunity there?
Oh, listen, there's 200 million. Yeah, there's 200 million people, and adults, I believe, make up. I think it's about 70% of that. So it's a big market. And actually, if you go and look at studies, I actually have something in front of me here. Let me just look at it. I apologize with Brazil. They recently talked about how Brazil has the highest rates of disability caused by depression and anxiety in the American continent. And that's according to a study by Opus, Pan American Health Organization. So I can't make medical claims, of course, about what this product can do, but if we listen to the anecdotal claims about how it helps depression and anxiety, you would think that a Brazilian government that has these very favorable, laws that we see on we don't see them on paper on a legal opinion yet, but we see them written all over the internet. You would like to think that they would embrace a company like ours coming there to try, without making the claims, to help this.
Okay. We get a question here from Eric asking, is there any barrier to entry? So I guess I think like maybe what he's asking, is this like a commodity type of product? Can anybody grow truffles? What are the barrier? Like what is there a moat? Is it the brand? Like what do you have going for you?
Well, I agree that a lot of people can grow a cannabis plant, and a lot of people could even, you know, print a T-shirt and put a logo on it. But what I don't think a lot of people can do is A, you know, we took a big risk here. Let's just start with that. We're really proud as a company to go through the process, even to get uplisted to the Canadian Securities Exchange, right? You know, we got these legal opinions. So I would like to think we've validated the entire psilocybin industry. And don't get me wrong, I love the fact that there are pioneers and advocates and these nonprofits, and I think that's amazing. And there's people been doing work on this, on magic mushrooms, and being able to try to provide it to really everyday adults for years and years and years now. But at the end of the day, the sad thing is business, sad, I shouldn't say sad, because it's just the way the world works. If you don't have legitimization, if you don't have regulatory bodies get into it, if you don't have communications with governments, you know, they'll always just be looked at as illegal substances. So where we're most proud as a company, you talk about first mover advantage, is we're proudly talking about selling recreationally, responsibly now. We're not talking about doing it 3-4 years from now. We're not talking about it in a tincture form, in a pill form. We're just giving people natural products, marketed very well and branded very well, and of course, creating a community and a lifestyle around that. So for me, I think we've created a kick-ass first mover advantage, and I don't think that ever goes away. Look at Canopy Grow's first mover advantage. Look at whatever you think of them. You know, they're names that resonate and they stay. And you can go back to sneaker companies. You know, Nike. Early advantages. I'm sure hundreds of companies have tried to start a sneaker line ever, since Nike did it. How many lasted? How many kept going? So, you know, it's important now. Brand, get in people's face responsibly. Educate them, but don't forget the name of Red Light Holland. And by the way, the people spoke to us. They didn't love our logo, so we created a logo design contest. And if you go to my website at imicrodose.ca, you can see the rules and regulations. Or just go on Twitter, write $trip, $truff, which is, you know, how people aggregate, old tweets. And then we want to hear from you why you think you can help be a part of a committee with Kareem. I don't know if he's on it for sure yet, but he is our head of design. But we have Chloe, we have Russell Peters, and we have everyone on that committee to redesign the logo. And by the way, 3 of you will have an opportunity to get on the committee, and we're going to give you $5,000 for your hard work and your efforts. So we want to make sure that we brand well out of the gate. With that being said, don't forget about the OG logo and get it online at imicrodose.ca too.
I guess it's a little bit like water, right? Anybody can drink from a tap, but then you also have Fiji water, which is, I don't know, it's like $2 for a little bottle. You have Evian. You have there's a difference in quality. I mean, Fiji water has like a certain taste, or people are willing to pay for it. They're willing to pay like whatever for the $2 or whatever it is that it is. It's so of course this is a little bit different because you have to actually somebody would actually have to know how to grow it. I mean, it's like, who grows their own, pot? I'm sure people do, but
yeah. Listen, it's not easy to go in the source of substrates, do the grow, have the team, get the team to go and package them, distribute them. And by the way, we still have the non-binding agreement with a wholesale company in the Netherlands that we're moving, I would say, we're the due diligence takes some time, but we're moving, we're moving on it is what we want to do. The intentions are there clearly. And again, distribution in stores, fridges, merch. So anyone can have an idea, Jack. I'm not an idea guy. I don't like wasting time. We have one life. I want to take one big shot at this. I want great, shareholder base that believes in a vision with us, and we believe and want to listen back to you. And we want to grow this together because we want to give the people what we feel they want responsibly. And I don't want to stop until that mission's done.
We got D asking, I guess he's asking, do you have any kind of like edibles, cookies or whatever with mushrooms?
So we don't have edibles with mushrooms yet because legally you're not allowed to do that. Again, the thing is with the truffle, it has to be in its raw, natural, unprocessed form. That's the only way you can sell it in the Netherlands. You can't even sell the magic mushroom, by the way. You can only sell the magic truffle. The second you were to start to manipulate it, so to speak, and put it in, extract it, and then use the ingredients and put it in a cookie or a tea, you'd get in trouble. We don't want to get in trouble, nor are we going to.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we got so we've covered the news. We've covered Brazil. And in terms of any other markets that anything else coming up in the next couple of months? Are you expecting any new markets to open up? Like,
we've heard a lot of decrim movements happening. DC, California, Colorado, Canada. So I don't know if the precedent that cannabis set is going to hold true for the psilocybin space, but one would like to think that the idea that people are using it the same way people were using cannabis, and the idea that it comes from the ground the same way cannabis does, and the same way that it's natural, for me, I'm not a predictor of anything. And, can I see the future? Well, it's weird. A lot of the things that I've actually envisioned have come true. And don't get me into the whole simulation part of what, my belief of life. But, if you envision it and work hard at it and have passion with it, and also, just sort of look to what the realities and the rational side of it are, I can't predict it, but, this is my vision.
Okay. Let's see here. We got, okay, I think we're pretty much wrapped up. Yeah. So a lot of people are saying that the organic stuff, this is going to be the future here. So
I do want to mention what Spruce just said. I think this is one of the most important points about the, I don't know if it's hippie times, but organic growth, without a doubt. We have looked over the last 20, 30 years, what a lot of big corporates have done. Why are we still eating things like even processed cheese? Even me, I still eat processed cheese. Why are we eating processed meats? Why are we, why are we doing the things? Why are we looking at big pharma with their synthetics that we know have also caused a lot of harm on top of causing a lot of good? And of course, there's a lot of good. I can never take away from that. My stepmother alone, her life was saved because of a big pharma drug for stage 4 lung cancer. And she still is great to this day, years and years later. So I would never crap on it. But if you have an organic substance, I think that, or natural substance, why aren't people looking into these more? And as a company, that's what we want to do, is really focused on the naturalness of plant-based medicines.
Okay. He's asking, how long is it going to take to grow the next batch, and how long is it before it's in stores? So yeah, it's going to be you're just planting a million.
Okay. Yeah, no, it takes a bit of time. I think we expected mid-year, a little sooner than that, to be honest. There's an interesting thing. So what happens is there's a stage where it sits, in the bags, the inoculated bags, etc. And then there's a stage where you can harvest them. And that stage, you have about 6 weeks to harvest them, meaning you could do it in the first week if you wanted to. Nothing would change as the result of the truffle if you waited 6 weeks after that. So that's why you order a big bulk of them, because you could still use those 6 weeks to use this distribution, meaning you almost don't have to do it all at one shot. So, you want to make sure that there's careful distribution, whether you're selling it, as we intend to do, through retail, through our website, or of course just even through wholesale, or even have other wholesale companies, or maybe even white label products who just want to go and sell truffles, but we make the margins on growing them in the first place.
Okay, let's see. So
I put on a blazer for you today, Jack. Do I look? I did that for you. Okay.
Hey, so Andres says, how fast do you think you'll be able to move this 1 million grams?
I think that we were calculated in starting this next batch, thinking that they would sell.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, so we got a lot of people asking about the merger with Buzz. Are you taking over Buzz? I got like 5 questions. Let me see where. Okay, everything with this Buzz. What's the bottom line there?
Again, we have an investment in Buzz. Buzz has an investment in us, and we really like each other. I mean, we're open to one another. We're open to one another as companies, and we have similar beliefs. Our views align. Clearly, what aligns is the fact that we're giving access to psilocybin. They have a store, we have product, and we have the growth and distribution, etc. They also have a nice license for narcotics in Germany. Buzz is just an established company. It's been around a lot longer than we have been, and we communicate. But I would say that we believe in each other's vision, and we're kind of excited by both our visions.
Okay. Trying to read into it. What is this? What is the answer?
It's nothing to read into. But I mean communication. I like to see. Of course, we have product in their shelves. We invest in each other's companies because we want them to grow together.
Okay. Okay. So Todd, let's kind of. I guess we're getting a little late here. We got. I want to ask the last question. The favorite here, which is again, right now, based on everything that's happening, the top 3 reasons why anybody should consider Red Light Holland stock today.
I always go back to this. We're here for the people. We're listening to you. We want to be transparent and candid and open. Go check out our recent filings, even our MD&A, our continuous disclosure. We have good corporate governance, and I'm available and I'm accessible, and our team is as well. And look at our management team. I mean, success breeds success. We're not in this to fail. We're in this to succeed. It's very new. It's a very new industry. We get it. But, and of course it's speculative, let's be honest, but we want to make this vision reality, and we've done so where we can. So if other markets open up, doesn't that sort of prove that we will probably want to do the same, recreate what we're doing in the Netherlands, bringing product to life? It takes time to grow the business, but we're really excited about where it can potentially go. And we're listening to everyone because people want magic mushrooms. And I would say thirdly, again, we're really creative. We're out of the box thinkers. We're creating alternative revenue streams, wisdom truffle, cool merch, cool community, cool logo design contests, listening. Not a lot of small caps do that. Getting on Joe Rogan, everybody loves Joe Rogan. So these are neat things. That's if you look at other companies, do they have a marketing plan? I don't even think a lot of people do. And this is my background. And if you don't market well, listen, a brand name is far more valuable in my mind than a commoditized plant. I said that last week. And don't get me wrong, you want that commoditized plant to make you a lot of money, but you want the brand to make you the most. And if you don't build that brand, then I think you're in trouble. So hopefully you think I'm building a great brand here and you support the brand itself. Go buy some hats.
Yeah, the packaging is good. I mean, the fridge and packaging, everything looks very, it's like it's got a certain feel to it. Excellent. Okay. Todd, I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody today for joining the live stream. And I know we're going to have you back. I don't know, as soon as the next big piece of news drops, whenever that is, hopefully soon.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, listen, we're working here, continuously working. And of course, I don't create fluff pieces when we have an opportunity to announce to the market. So there's no selective disclosure for some and not others. We'll bring it to everybody at the same time. And of course, we're working away. So that's the most thing we're proud of. And hopefully I'll be back before the holiday season. I'll be back before the holiday season, right?
Hopefully, yeah. We got
okay, good. Because I didn't know. Do I wish people happy holidays now? But everyone should be responsible during their holiday season. I'll leave it at that. And if you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. I am Toddy Tickles. Find me. I can continually, show you that I want to communicate with you. Of course, I got to do time management here. There's a lot going on, but we're just so grateful for the early support, and we really look forward to the future.
Fantastic, Todd. Thank you again, and thank you everybody for joining us.
Thanks, Jack.